How you like me now? I'm here to expose the lies, the schemes, yeah, the power that froze. I'm breaking chains, no silence allowed. Speaking for the people, I'm making you proud. From the streets to the suites, I've been in the fight. Shining through the dark, bringing truth to light. Leadership in action, and the time is ours. Rodney's on the mic, speaking truth to power. Speak on it now, let the truth unfold. Speak on it now, gotta break the mold. From the pain to the purpose, let the voices tower. Rodney W. Collins, speaking truth to power. I've seen the struggle, I've felt the strain, but silence in the face of wrong is the real pain. It's more than a fight, it's the courage to stand and build a better world with this strength of our hands. Leaders and liars, we're calling them out. For the ones without a voice, we're ending the doubt. Every word I speak, every action I take, it's about the truth and justice, no room for fake. Speak on it now, let your voice ignite. Speak on it now, stand up, take flight. From the ground to the towers, let the movement flower. Rodney W. Collins, speaking truth to power. Stand tall, speak loud, let the world take note. Power to the people, every word I quote. This is your moment, the time is here. Rodney's on the mic, making change crystal clear. Speak on it now, time to break the chains. Speak on it now, let the truth remain. From the silence to the spotlight, let the voices shower. Rodney W. Collins is speaking truth to power.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. First and foremost, giving honor to the God who allows me to come at you in this manner on a weekly basis. It's here, y'all. It's here. But let's get the formalities out the way. 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific every Saturday morning. I am Rodney W. Collins, and this is to speak on this show, broadcasting live on the Rodney W. Collins channel on YouTube and Facebook. Like, share, subscribe, do what you do. But when you do what you do, we got a show today, 13-year anniversary show. And we're going to be talking about some different things about the journey, where I've been, where we're at, and where we're going with the show. So we're going to get into that a little bit. And I also put up, Trent Branch, my brother, good morning, appreciate you, bro. Also already put up a post, put up a comment. The link here, if you want to come in, come on camera. You don't have to turn your camera on if you don't want to. Or if you want to come, say something, comment about the show, feel free, follow the link, come on in. It's just going to be a conversation that we're going to have today. I'm trying to stay away from the politics today, but there's some things that will probably come out that sound political. But we're not going to get in depth on any stories today. We're going to celebrate this anniversary show. Trent Branch, happy anniversary. I appreciate it, bro. Appreciate it. 13 years, y'all. 13 years. And as I mentioned, we're broadcasting live on Facebook and YouTube this morning. Like, share, subscribe, do what you do with other platforms that you watch, and all that kind of stuff. So I don't have anything specifically wrote down. I got a couple notes here and there, kind of like we did last week with what was going on about the death of a certain individual. That we're not going to go down that rabbit hole again this week. Terrence Collins, good morning, my brother. Congratulations on 13. Appreciate it, my brother. Appreciate it. Appreciate the support from you, the family. But we'll get into that as we go. I appreciate it. Thanks for always having my back, my big brother. I appreciate you, bro. So we're not going to get into any of that and everything, but I want to start off before we get into the other parts. And I want to start off, and I want to say it this way. We all have heard, and we all have been told, and we've been taught that in our lives, there's a certain time where you realize your purpose, and you also realize that there's a calling on you that you need to follow through with. I want to say this morning that James Goodwin, good morning, happy anniversary, keep holding it down. Appreciate you, bro, appreciate you. I want to say this morning that I didn't know what my purpose was for a long time. I didn't understand what my calling was as far as what people would say. I can honestly say that me doing this for 13 years now has shown me that even though you're doing something that you don't think has an impact, that you don't think affects people, that you don't think is beneficial to others, I would ask you to step back for a minute and look at it from a different view. Look at it from a view of others, not from your own view, but the view of others, and understand that there's something about all of us that impacts others in certain ways. It doesn't have to always be on a big scale. It doesn't have to be on that platform of being on a stage. It doesn't have to be in that manner. And I think sometimes we get caught up with the celebrity. We get caught up with the celebrity, the likes, the shares, and all those type things, that we don't focus on the purpose. We don't focus on the impact. We don't focus on how it's affecting other people in order for them to be able to find their purpose or their drive or what they should be doing or whether they want to get involved or not. I wanted to say that because I remember, and I think I brought this up on the show before, because I was lost at the time, where I was wondering and asking God, what is my purpose? What am I supposed to be doing? And, a lot of people would say, well, you had a military career. You did a lot of things, travel and everything like that. But what was my purpose? What was I truly supposed to be doing that was going to impact people? And I want to put this in here right now because I want to say it this way because I want people to understand the message that you are waiting to receive may not always come in the package that you would expect it to. The message you're waiting to receive, the guidance that you need or the words you need to hear may not always come in the package that you think it will. And I say that not to minimize this person or anything like that, but I want to give a shout out to my man, my brother, OT, because he came to me about this. He came to me and presented me this opportunity and seen where he thought I would be good at this. I say this because me and OT only knew each other in passing. Me and OT only knew each other in a work environment, not outside a work environment. So sometimes you have to be receptive to things that may not look like they're coming from someone that you would expect it to come from. And I'm not saying the looks or anything like that. I'm just saying at all. Because sometimes God puts us in positions and puts us in places that we would never expect to be. But when we come out of there, we realize the purpose, the meaning, and what we need to do going forward. So I wanted to put that in the beginning of this show today because after 13 years of doing this, I will continue to start off this show to thank God. But you will always hear me thank my brother OT for seeing something in me to get this started. So OT, if you're listening this morning, I love you, brother. I appreciate it. I wouldn't I wouldn't be here doing this if it wasn't for you. And as I said, God sends us messages through people, places, things that sometimes we don't understand, but sometimes we need to step back and try to get the true understanding of what it's all about. All right. So I wanted to start off with that this morning, but I got a good one for y'all. We're just going to go down memory lane. We're going to talk about some different things, but I wanted to make sure that I started the show off with that because I'm very thankful, not only to OT, but anybody and everybody who's ever clicked me on a Saturday morning or Saturday afternoon, through the time I've changed times and everything, but anybody who's ever tuned in once, multiple times, or every Saturday. I appreciate you. I thank you. And we'll get into that a little later as we go, because one thing that I know to be true, you hear me say it on here a lot, and sometimes it gets cliche. Give people their flowers while they can receive them. Tell people how you feel about them when they can hear you. Give people their flowers, the respect, and let them know how you feel about them when you have the opportunity for them to be able to receive it in a manner that it should be received. Just want to start the show off with that, Trent Branch. Amen. Appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you. Thanks again. And we're gonna get into this, man. Let's go ahead and let's go ahead and get into this. We're gonna after I play this, we're gonna get into the show. Let's go. Only the warrior who has faced battle truly knows its cost. Yet it's the spectators who shout the loudest. Everybody's got something to say about your life, but most of them, they've never fought your battles. They didn't feel the pressure. They didn't carry your fears. They weren't there when you almost broke, but didn't. So don't let their noise define you. Don't explain your scars to the unscarred. Respect your scars. They're not signs of weakness. They're receipts of your strength. You're not here for applause. You're here for alignment. Legacy isn't given, it's built. Own the journey. Embrace the power. Live the legacy. Lifegistics Coaching Solutions. Welcome back. Lifegistics Coaching Solutions, LYFE, gistics.com. Lifegisticscoaching.com is the website. Lifegistics Coaching with a Y at gmail.com is the email if you want to reach out and you want to do a consult so we can find out which way you want to go or how I can help you in your life's journey. And today, while we're doing this show, I want to use the steps that I always talk about your journey, where you've been, where you're at, and where you're going. And I think it fits to what I want to talk about today with the show, about where I've been with the show, where we're at right now because of climate. And I appreciate Trent Branch for being on because he mentioned it last time when I said I'm going to try to get away from the politics. And he helped me out and told me, depending on, I can't even use the right word, depending on the climate and what's going on is what would dictate how we do and what we talk about on this show. Thanks, Trent. I appreciate that, bro. But what I wanted to do, this is, it's a little tough for me. It's a little tough for me to do this today because I was thinking all week about this and what I've been doing. And when I think about it, I don't think about the early mornings, the late nights or anything. I think about those that have sacrificed to help me in this journey. And before we get deep into it, as I mentioned about my brother Terrence and all the listeners and everybody like that, I want to start off this, and I'm going to do it again in the end. But I want to start off with this because if I don't, it's going to hit me later on. So let me just say this. Evan Lopez, my brother. Hey, how you doing, sir? Good morning. Appreciate you. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for supporting. I want to start off with my mother, and who I affectionately call Big Lee, the father that stepped in. I want to thank them for all their support, not only in this, but in life, in everything I've done and everything I've tried. I appreciate them for pushing me. May not have been words, may not have been actions, just being there to make me feel as though I can be anything that I want to be and accomplish anything I want to accomplish. So I want to start with them. But I also want to start with my brothers and sisters because they continue to push me in ways that they don't know, in the manner of we're all striving to become better than who we used to be. And I look at each of them and say, if they can do it, I can do it. And it keeps me pushing forward. So I want to thank my brothers and sisters, Terrence, Lynn, Dwayne. Thank you. The sister that stepped in, April Whedon, I want to thank her as well. She tunes in. We have conversations after the show. her and her fiance, Rudy Jordan. I appreciate you guys for giving me feedback, telling me where I may have messed up, what I did wrong, what I said wrong, or just having that conversation lets me know that what I'm doing is not in vain. Long-time listeners, short-time listeners, one-show listeners, whoever you may be, casual listeners, people that listen after the fact, thank you. Thank you. Because even though you may not comment, even though you may not like, share, subscribe, or whatever, you tune in. You tune in. And as long as I know, and you know, that what I'm doing, you can take something from, whether you agree, disagree, something hits home, something goes over your head, any of that, thanks for tuning in. I just want to say that because a lot of times we take for granted, and I've seen it in this industry, that we take for granted the people that support us, but I wanted to put that up here in the beginning as well. You know, as I mentioned, God, OT, family, friends, listeners, casual, long time. I appreciate all y'all. I appreciate, and the comments that come in. Keeps the conversation going. I appreciate that. And as I said, I put the link up. Anybody that wants to chime in, come in today. You don't have to show your face. You only have to turn your camera on. But if you got a comment or you want to make a comment, feel free to click on the link. Come on in. I'll put you, you'll come in the green room, and then, we'll chop it up. Anything you want to say is wide open, and we get a troll. It is what it is. We had that issue last week, but we're not gonna continue on that. But let's get into this because I want to show you. I want to show you how things have elevated with the show. So don't y'all laugh at this either. All right, don't y'all laugh at this. This, and I'm gonna keep it big for y'all. This was my first logo. Don't laugh. I'm laughing, but don't y'all laugh. This is the first logo of the show ever created by moi. This is the first logo. It was something that I felt jumped out. I look at it now like it should have been thrown out. I say that jokingly, but when you're first starting something, one of the biggest things they tell you is you need a logo. You need something that stands out. And at the time, this is what I thought stood out. September 29th, launch date, 2012. Speak on it, hosted by R.W. Coolins. Coming to you live from Las Vegas every Saturday, broadcasting on the OT show and so on. So the show will discuss topics that we need to speak on, feature in-studio guests, and play music that will take you back in the day. Can't do the music anymore, but we'll get to that later. Stay tuned for more info or email your questions to speakontheshow@yahoo.com. Let's do this. R.W. Coolins. Now, I want to bring this up because some people have mentioned this to me, but I don't think I've ever addressed it. R.W. Coolins has been a nickname that I've had. Well, it was Coolins, but I added the R.W. because it's my name. But I had that nickname for a long time, and I started off the show with the nickname because I didn't know exactly what direction I was going or what I wanted to do. And as you see, years have gone by, I've changed it from R.W. Coolins to Rodney W. Collins. And I want to explain why I changed it to Rodney W. Collins rather than R.W. Coolins. So what you find out as time goes on in life, Trim Branch, I remember that. Appreciate you, bro. As you go through life, what you realize is you grow. You evolve. The nicknames that we had growing up, I mean, I had so many when we were younger and everybody had a nickname. I still call people by their nickname because it's just out of habit. But we've grown from who we were when we were a nickname to becoming different people. And one of the things that I realized when I was R.W. Coolins on here and everything, I said, it's time for me to get my grown man on. And it's not because of the name, but I thought, in my opinion, the name, having it as just R.W. Coolins as a nickname or whatever it is, I thought using my name would be taken more seriously. I felt using my name would get people to realize that this is who I am and this is what I'm speaking on. And this has always been who I am. I'm not hiding behind a nickname because what I'm saying is not how I feel. I put my name on here because I want you to understand. And I want people that listen to understand that anything I say, and I mean what I say. So that transition from the nickname to my name was more of a, this is me. This is me. Love me, hate me, but this is me. And I want to go into this because, Trent Branch, you got to start somewhere. Yes, you do, bro. Yes, you do. And I want to go into this because I say what I say for these 13 years, unapologetically truthful. And I want to touch on this because I've seen, and I'm going to be all over the place, so y'all bear with me, but I've seen different things about the actions of what happened that we talked about last week. And the one constant that keeps showing up when I'm reading things, or people are going back and forth debating whether he was this, whether he was that, and all these kind of things is this comment here. It was taken out of context. Let's go here for a minute. I'm going to go off a little bit here, but y'all bear with me. What this person said or what anybody says when they say what they say, normally the retort, when you push back on it, you call it racist, biggest comment or anything like that, is no, it was taken out of context. Let me clear something up real quick for those in the cheap seats in the back. In 13 years of doing this, and I want to get into this too, live, not pre-recorded, not edited, live every time I've done a show for 13 years, it's been live. I don't go back and edit. I don't cut anything out. You may get a snippet every once in a while of a part that I did from the show, but I'm not editing anything because everything I say, I mean. Because we watch a lot of different tapes and everything, and they're edited and there's things are taken out, and then they want to come back and say, well, that was taken out of context. Never once in 13 years, and I'm proud to say this, have I ever had to come back on this show and explain myself for something that someone may have taken out of context. And I will never come out of my mouth and say something I said was taken out of context. You know why? Because I stand on what I say. And there's too many people in this world today that can come out of their mouths and make racial statements, bigot statements, make these statements about people. And then when people push back on it, the first thing people want to say is, it was taken out of context. Let's clear up what context is. It ain't no cloak. It's the go-to defense for racism, bias, and selective morality. They knew what they said when they said it. They felt a certain way when they said it. But when there's pushback, it's either it was taken out of context to save their job, save their standing, or because there's so much pushback, they want to let us know, the people that they've said this against, or the people that have been spoken against, to make us think there was a, what they call it, a Freudian slip. No. When people say and show you who they are, believe them. So I wanted to bring that up because I sat back this week and I was reading some things and I thought, Brown Hoodie, my brother, good morning. Appreciate your support, man. And I thought to myself, wait a minute. Over the last, probably 2015, when that man came down the escalator, we have seen a shift in what people think and how things are going, in the mindset that they can say what they want to say when they're in front of their crew or they're in front of their audience that accepts what they have to say. But when that video gets out, now people want to defend that person, not in what they said, but they say we heard it out of context. One thing you'll never hear here is anything being given, and for you to receive anything I say, for someone to tell you that they took it out of context. It will be crystal clear where I stand. Where I stand, what this show stands for. Trent Branch, brother, you are authentic and have always stood by what you say. This I know for myself. I'll take that as a compliment, bro, but I hope I didn't offend nobody along the way. But this is the part. Thank you, brother. This is the part about it. People will get offended if they don't agree with something you say. I'm cool with that. But as I mentioned, can we agree to disagree? Because your view may be one thing, your view may be another. And if I offended you, never once will I come out of my mouth to say what I told you is taken out of context, because here's what I know to be true. When someone tells me what I heard and how I react to something that somebody said is taken out of context, what you're doing is minimizing my brain function as far as what I know in my experience is to push back on what you said. So when you say it was taken out of context, you're not apologizing to me for the vitriol that you said. What you're doing is minimizing my actions and my response to what you said. So for all those people out here that want to keep putting up this, he was taken out of context when he said MLK was not a good guy. Excuse me, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and I will continue to do that. I will not minimize him to 3 letters. My apologies. Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. When he said that about him, we didn't take that out of context. We know exactly what he meant. When he talked about the black women and not having the brain power and they were taking jobs from men. Come on. We didn't take that out of context. We took that from our experiences in this country and what has been said through the years and years and years. So when we talk about my show, let's be real here. When we talk about my show, my platform is not owned by anybody. Trust me, when I say what I say, I mean what I say, and there will be no gray area for anybody to come back and say somebody took it out of context. Those people know what they're doing. It's not a mistake what they're doing. What they're doing is trying to get you to look at things from their point of view or to dismiss your feelings in spite of the fact that they knew the impact that what they said was going to happen. Not on this show. Not on this show. Yes, it was a compliment. I kind of figured as much, bro. We did a lot of traveling together, bro. So I probably said some things in those travels. But, it was all in fun and we enjoyed ourselves and had a good time. So, but I say that because when I talk about this show, and a lot of people ask me, man, you do a live show every Saturday morning? Yes, live. No editing, no cuts. And the reason I do live, this is going to sound a little crazy, but I want you to embrace this. The reason I do a live show and I don't pre-record, I tell y'all sometimes when I'm taking a break, I'll post something, maybe I'll do a pre-record. I just can't do it. I can't do it. Because for me, and maybe I'm different, but for me, a pre-recorded show to me is too rehearsed. An edited show takes out the inconsistencies and the errors that you may make. This is not, if you're spreading information, it's not where you should have to be perfect in your delivery. It's not where everything has to be lined up. The only thing that I make sure is consistent and lined up when I turn this microphone, camera, and computer on Saturday mornings is make sure my background is receivable to you guys out there. I make sure I look a certain way. I ain't putting no makeup on, these impurities in my face. That's what you're going to get because this is who I am. But when I see these other shows, and it's not to put them down, don't get me wrong. It's not to put them down or anything, but I just don't understand, and I don't think you get the full feeling of what a person is talking about, how they feel about a subject if it's pre-recorded. The emotion, the interaction. Let's talk about the interaction from you. The people that tune in. Your interactions keep the conversation going. Your interactions gives me something to bounce off and dig deeper into the conversations we're having. Your comments help me go to a historical part that I may have overlooked. Everything I can't capture. That's where you come into play. So this show is not only me, it's you. When you choose to make a comment or you choose to bring something to my attention that I may overlook, it helps the show. It helps the show in a manner that it keeps the conversation going and it brings up things that I may have overlooked or I may have had notes and you bring it up at the same time. That's what I love. That's what I enjoy. And the reason I enjoy it is because we don't have, let me say it. One thing I don't want, let me say it this way. One thing I don't want are sheep. I don't want sheep tuning in. I want people tuning in to bring something to the table as well. I want people tuning in that understand from my experiences, because you may have had the same experience. I want people tuning in that even if you don't have my same experiences, that you're tuning in to understand and get a better understanding of the experience of a Black man in this country, AKA a veteran who served this country and the struggles that he still deals with in this country. So when we talk about to speak on this show, my main goal is to put a message out there, not for you to agree with all the time, but to make you think differently than you did when you turned it on in the morning, to make you look at it differently than what you're getting from the headline news, to make you think differently than what you're seeing in snippets on Facebook and Twitter and all TikTok and all these different things. Because one thing that I've understood and I know, when you get those little blurps and those little pieces put out there, the reason they don't give you the whole conversation, watch this now, it goes back to what I said. The reason you don't get that whole video, this show's an hour long and you get the whole video, right? A lot of times it's strategic. And the reason they don't want you to have the full show is so you don't understand the full context. So if someone pushes back, they can say, you took it out of context. No, I didn't. You put a certain piece up for us to be able to draw our own conclusions from what you said. And then when we push back and say it was racist, or no, that didn't sound right, then it becomes, well, you took it out of context. I took it for what the clip said, because that's all you wanted me to see. Because in most cases, they're pandering to a certain crowd. Not here. My man, Joe Castro, always loved the quote, change is inevitable, growth is optional. I appreciate you for always sharing that message. Appreciate you, bro. Let me touch on something real quick with my man, Joe Castro. I'm going to put some business out there, Joe. Joe Castro and me met when he was a young airman first coming into the military. First duty assignment, Bowling Air Force Base. And he worked for me. Well, I supervised him. Let me put it that way. I was one of the supervisors. I wasn't a direct supervisor because we talk about that a lot. But Joe Castro and I grew a friendship as years went on. And I want to say that because he tunes into the show. We text, we talk. If he comes here to Vegas to visit family, we make it a point to see each other. I want to bring that up because there's people who come in your life that you need to hold on to. You need to hold on to them. Because I know in his mind, and I say this very, let me just say it this way. In his mind, he probably may look at me like I'm helping him when he's talking to me about things, or we're going through things, or we're having these discussions. But I want people to know the message you need to receive at certain times can come from anywhere, as I mentioned in the beginning. So even though Joe Castro was young, is younger than me, served under me, we grew a friendship from that. I'm 59. I don't know what Joe is right now. He's probably in his 30s. But at the end of the day, you can learn something from somebody and anybody if you take the time to have a conversation. And that's what I try to do here every Saturday morning, is to have a conversation. Not that I'm always right, but to have a conversation. Because from those conversations, friendships grow, relationships grow. And those bonds that you grow are not easily broken once you conversate. Once you sit down and have those conversations, those bonds are not easily broken. So Joe Castro, I appreciate you, bro. I appreciate you. I know I went off a little bit, but I wanted to make sure I gave me a shout out as well, because there's times where we think people know, so we don't say anything. Sometimes you just got to stop everything you're doing and let them know. My man, Joe Castro. So I have something else I want to show y'all. Where's it at? So I had this up. This was the logo I used today for the show. And there's a lot of symbolism behind this, because y'all give me a minute. I've said this before about me in this show. And the only thing that has changed about me through life was that now I use a microphone to say what I have to say. I use a microphone. And I reach more people with what I have to say. And I want to go and give you more context in this, because you see me and you see, let me blow that up again. And you see the microphone man is what I call him, with the suit on. And that's how I view what I've been able to do with this show. I have not changed for the worse. Let's put it that way. I'm still Rodney W. Collins with an opinion. Now I just have a microphone that is just a little louder. And I put this up, and I have this microphone man, as I call him, because I consider that my alter ego. That when I turn this microphone on, I just let it go. John Chaney, my brother, appreciate you. Hey, I'm going to get to that in a minute. Man who views the world at 50 the same as he did at 20 has wasted 30 years of life. Muhammad Ali, we should have all evolved over the years. Yes, we should. And I want to thank you too, John Chaney, for always supporting, brother. I know we miss each other here and there, but I know that you know, and I know that I know. We grew up together. We know each other for years, and I support you in the things you do. You support me, and I appreciate you, bro. And I like your comments. I like your information that you send me and everything. And keep doing what you're doing, because I see that you're putting a lot of information out there that a lot of people need to hear. So I want to give you your flowers while you're on here today. So I appreciate you, bro. Keep doing what you're doing. And let me give a shout out to Frederick, Maryland. Let me go here for a minute. Let me take this down for a minute. Let me give a shout out to Frederick, Maryland. Born and raised. I want to give a shout out to Frederick, Maryland specifically, because I talk about my mom, my family, and all that, but I want to give a shout out to Frederick, Maryland. And I say that because I want you to hear what I say. Frederick, Maryland raised me, family, everybody there, friends I grew up with, the diversity within the communities and everything like that. I want to clear that up. I want to put that first. But I also want to say this about Frederick, Maryland. And some people get upset, but I'm not going to bite my tongue on this. Frederick, Maryland has a lot of history from back during slavery. There's a place that was right beside my high school called Rose Hill Manor. And Rose Hill Manor was, and I can't remember the whole history of it, but it had slaves. Let's just be real there. And we would have to go and tour Rose Hill Manor, and they would give us tours, and they gave us some mint tea and all that. I remember these things. But it was right beside my high school. And there's a lot of history, the Betsy Ross house and all these different things in Frederick, Maryland and everything. And then you have to look at the historical aspect. But when you look at the historical aspect, you can't overlook the historical aspect of the racism that was there when I was a kid. You can't overlook the fact of the racism that still exists there today. So as much as I shout out Frederick, Maryland, as much as I love Frederick, Maryland, much as you're born and raised in Frederick, Maryland, there's still these systemic things these systemic things that are still in Frederick, Maryland, just like in some of your communities as well. But I want to say that about Frederick, Maryland, because I want to put it out there in this manner, because it's not that I'm talking bad about my hometown. I love my hometown. I love my experiences in my hometown. I love everything about my younger age growing up. But when I think about Frederick, Maryland in this climate, and when I speak on the topics that I talk about, just because I don't mention them doesn't mean it's not existent. It's there. But I wanted to touch on Frederick, Maryland, because that's where I was raised, and I seen a lot of those things that went on there. That in Frederick, Maryland, you still have this issue, and I watch the politics, I watch what's going on, where the community that I know is minimized. Are there changes happening? Here and there, but not all over. We got somebody coming in. Raymond Hunter. I get it. Looks great. Appreciate you, my brother. Appreciate you, John Chaney. Thanks. Hey, man, no thanks needed, bro. We know. What's unspoken is known. What's unspoken is known. I just wanted to give you flowers. Roger B. Tanny on Bench Street. Yeah. And then Dred Scott decision. All the above. So I appreciate it. But I got somebody in the green room. Oh, man. Don't have me on here crying this morning, my brother. Terrence Collins, what's up, my brother?
Hey, Rodney. Good morning, my brother.
What's happening?
You know, I don't have any type of social media footprint. I avoid by design. But 13 years, come on, man.
I appreciate it, bro. Yeah, because let me give y'all a little background on my big brother. He don't do social media. He don't do videos. He don't do that. You see a picture of him, he's with the family on vacation, and that's where they snuck a picture. But no. But for him to come on here today, let me tell y'all something. This is big.
I'm just creeping in for just a minute. You can hear me okay? You hear me okay?
We can hear you.
So just quickly, I love you. I'm proud of you. I appreciate you and respect what you're doing with your show. I love the fact that you're sharing your views and your personal experiences. Even this morning, I was relating to what you said about finding your purpose. And so big shout out to OT. I have an OT in my life, right? I never envisioned where I would be. And so having that OT in my life made all the difference. Of course, having an incredible wife to help me and support me and be a strong partner and sounding board made all the difference in success. But you got to have that OT that sees the things that you don't even realize, right? And so that's a blessing for sure. And so I thank you, OT. But I really just popped on to say, as I'm getting ready to get on the bike because of orders, I gotta. I listen, get in my work in the morning, on Saturday mornings, and listen to you. But we live together in the same city since 1984, right? So selfishly, it's great for me to be able to see you every Saturday and hear you, but we're not talking between those times. So, keep doing what you're doing, brother. Love you, appreciate you, and so proud.
Appreciate you, bro. And John Chaney just chimed in and said the Kiwanis crew. Kiwanis baseball, baby. Appreciate that, John. Thanks for the feedback. But yeah, Terrence, I appreciate it, man. And like you said, being the distance we've had over the years since 1984 when I joined the military and you were doing your thing with college and your jobs and things like that, bro. One thing that I want to say to you is thank you for always being there, no matter what the distance was.
Of course.
That's the key.
Yeah.
Appreciate you. I know you don't want to stay on here long because they might start tracking your IP address or something. So love you, bro.
Love you too, man. Be good.
Yeah. Love you. Peace. Bye. Yeah, he don't do social media, y'all. So let's give a hand clap to him because he just don't do it. And I want to say that I know in the beginning I talked about people that helped me through and everything, and some of y'all probably out there talking about, well, he didn't even bring up his wife. I got something for her. Don't worry about it. That's later on. Come on, work with me. I'm not gonna forget her. Trust me. I can't forget her because then I ain't gonna have nowhere to live. But let's go back to the logo thing. So I call this my alter ego, and the mic man, because when I say I've always had an opinion, I just didn't have a microphone. That's real talk. And as Trent Branch reminded me, I remember us going on trips and things like that, and I always always had something to say. And normally we were joking, having fun and things like that. But I know that some of the things I said made impact. Because if you're talking just to talk, people stop listening. But the fact that they were still listening tells me I was saying something that they wanted to hear. But when I talk about the mic man, you know, it's one of those things where when you step back for a minute and ask yourself, as Terrence was mentioning, your purpose. I remember days when I would speak my mind and it wasn't received well. I was telling my wife a story the other day about when I was in the military and I got pulled aside and was told, you can't speak on everything that you feel is wrong. And I asked, why not? If it's wrong, it's wrong. But then the guys I was with, shout out to the crew that used to be out in the yard waxing vehicles and stuff when we were in the Philippines. I ain't gonna give all the names out, but they turned on me. Let me just give you the story. They turned on me. So we would sit out there and we would talk about the things that we didn't like, things we had complaints about and everything like that. And, you know, we were all young military guys just coming in. But we would talk about these things. And then when we'd have open ranks inspections, they would ask, does anybody have anything? And me being who I am, I always threw my hand up and expressed what we had discussed under the hangar or the shed that we were under. And because there was retaliation by some of the supervisors because we were bringing stuff up. Well, I was bringing stuff up that we all were involved in. And they turned on me. They said, hey, man, they pulled me and said, hey, you're making it hard on all of us. I said, but we all talking about this. What do you mean I'm turning on y'all? Hey, you need to be quiet, bro. You making it hard on all of them. They're giving us extra work because you keep saying something. So in my mind, I'm thinking, well, we all out here complaining about the same thing, but I'm saying something and now I'm the bad guy. Didn't realize it at the time, what it was preparing me for. But looking back on it, I understand that everybody's not going to agree for you speaking for them. But as long as your intent and you're intentional with what you're doing, they may not agree. But if they're in the same boat as you, eventually they will see the benefits that comes out of it. Now, mind you, because I was so boisterous and things, I ended up getting moved. Not to a bad position. I got moved into an office job because I spoke up. And I was told that when I got the job. They said, they announced they were going to move me. And then I was pulled aside and said, we think that you can do better for us in this position that we're moving you to. And don't think of it as a demotion or anything. We're moving you because we think you'll be more beneficial for us in this position because what you're doing out there is not going to benefit you long term. They were mad then because I was in the air conditioning in the Philippines in that humidity. Raymond Hunter had the same thing happen to me at Mather Air Force Base. I spoke up and the other brothers sulked back. Yeah, and here's the good thing about that, Raymond Hunter. I don't know about your experience. The good thing about it is we're all friends to this day. We're all still friends to this day because it shows that as you grow, as John Chaney said, a man who views the world at 50 is the same as he did at 20, he has wasted 30 years of his life. It goes into this. So no matter what they were mad about at that time, it just showed that as you grow and evolve, you realize that, yeah, he was who he was then, and we still love him for who he is now. So for all Raymond Hunter's Mather crew that was mad and upset, hey, look at him, look at you. It's not to minimize anybody, but at the same time, he did his thing. He said what he had to say. Say what you mean what you say. That's what it comes down to. So I want to get into real quick. And I got some notes here, so I want to make sure that I touch on this because I know let's talk about the politics real quick with this show. Since 2015, and I talked about this last year, I think, but I want to bring it up in a different aspect. In 2015, when a certain individual came down the escalator spewing hate from day one, when he put his name in the hat to run. 10 years later, look at where we are. Look at the climate. Look at how the political atmosphere is so different. Look at everything that has changed from 2015 to 2025 because of this one individual who is a figurehead, as I mentioned, but all those who support it. And then ask yourself, how did this happen? A lot of us know. But I want to put it in this context here. Because I talked about a lot of things since he came down the escalator on this show. I've been a staunch pushback on anything and everything him, his supporters say, and I will continue to do that until things change. But I know there's people who tuned into the show before where I talked about everything about how we can improve ourselves, what we can do for our communities and different things. Like, I mean, I've done things where y'all talked about the sagging of the pants and how it's looked differently in our community and other people's communities, and what sagging is spelled backwards, which we ain't gonna go down that road. I even talked about the N-word. I had a whole show dedicated to the use of the N-word and how this and that. I did the gun rights shows. I did all these different shows about different things that are going on in our community back in the day. I talked about, and John Chaney just said, the atmosphere changed because President Obama got elected. And that's a true statement. They won't say it, but it's a true statement. I was on the air during his time as his second administration was going out. But I say all that because I want you to understand, when I talk about these politics, it's not that I want to continue talking about politics. But I want to get you to understand that the reason I consistently talk about these things that's happening in the political aspect is because a lot of us say we don't want to hear it, but that's part of the problem. That's part of the problem, is because we don't want to hear it, and because we don't want to hear it, we don't know what's going on. And when we don't know what's going on, things are happening, and then when they're already solidified, we're wondering, when did this happen? I try my best to be the bridge between what you don't want to hear and what you don't want to constantly listen to be the one that you tune into to get it clear cut. Now, is my opinion always accepted for what I have to say about it? Maybe not. But I'm giving you the perspective from a Black African-American man who has been around this world in different capacities and traveled and seen how other countries function under their political aspects. So I can speak on the fact of what I see here and what I report here for you to get a better understanding that everything that is happening here has gone on in every other country around the world one time or more in the political aspect. And I think sometimes we can't take for granted that just because we say USA and this mindset that we're better than everyone else, this is a prime example of why I continue to talk about this, because I want people to understand that what is going on in this country right now has happened in many countries in this world. And if we just turn a blind eye to it because we say we don't want to get involved in politics, I want you to think about the fact that there's other countries that people have had the same mindset, not that they didn't want to be involved in the politics, but they weren't able to be involved in the politics. They weren't told what was going on in their country until the fact that they were living under a martial law, or the fact that they were living under a dictator, or the fact that food and things like that were being rationed out to them because they didn't have a voice in the process. See, I don't take this lightly when I talk about the politics and everything that's going on when I come on this show. I tell you these things because I want you to be aware. I don't want you to be consumed. I want you to be aware that these things are happening. So when things do go very, very south, you can't sit back and say, I didn't know. Because there's so many resources for you to get the information. I would rather you get it from me every Saturday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific, right here on the Rodney W. Collins channel. But, nice plug. But I say that because I want people to understand, if I didn't care about you, then I would never talk about politics. But because I care about you, I'm going to continue to bring up the things that need to be brought up, because there's a lot of things that aren't reported in mainstream media that's happened right under our nose, and we won't know until we can't vote anymore. We won't know until we're unable to get loans. We won't know until our children can't apply for college education because they're shutting down the HBCUs. And oh, by the way, you can't attend a PWI, predominantly white institution. That's why I bring these things up, because we have to be more astute and involved in the things that are going on before it becomes too late. There's nothing going on now that is beneficial. And I want the people in the cheap seats in the back that support this, excuse me, Mom, who support this shit, to hear me loud and clear this morning. The things that are going on in this country that you support will come back to bite you in the ass. Because the only people that are going to benefit from anything that this man and his administration is doing in this political season right now is the ones that they consider wealthy. Not you, not the little people, not just because they're black, not because they're Hispanic, everyone. So if you don't have a monetary value of a certain amount, as much as you want to trumpet for this person and say he's doing things that's going to benefit us, be careful what you wish for. Be careful what you wish for. Because while you're sitting in the cheap seats applauding everything that this person's doing, as much as we're trumpeting the fact that he's taking these benefits away from us, who do you think is next? I just don't understand how people can sit back and think that this is benefiting them when you talk about the politics and what we know politics to be in this country, when we also want to sit back and talk about Russia and Putin being a dictator and Kim Jong-un being a dictator and Xi Jinping in China being a dictator. What did this man tell you he wanted to be? So until something changes, the politics will continue to be on this show, because we need to know what is happening. Raymond Hunter, an authoritarian has no policy or historical stamp. Trump was known for firing folks. That's what we got, a nihilist. You simply govern by attrition. For a nuanced country, you need institutional knowledge. This is, and I said, I told my wife this morning, I wasn't going to talk politics, but I have to, because it's a part of what this show has become. To speak on this show has become a political platform to a certain extent, to give you the information you need and identify those things that are going to affect us long term, not just tomorrow, but long term. John Cheney, right now I see too much lack of knowledge and we are not organized. Yes, and that's the other part. We're not organized. We have a lack of knowledge and we don't care. And some people will say, you can't just say we don't care. No, we don't care. We don't care. And I use this and people get tired of me saying it, but I'm going to be real. We got people more concerned about whether LeBron James or Michael Jordan should be identified as the GOAT while they're taking away the Board of Education. We got people worried more about, and you can do both things at the same time. But which one is more important? Michael Jordan or LeBron James, who don't know you, who's not going to donate any money to you to help you when things go bad? We're more concerned about a title for what somebody has for running up and down a basketball court than we are about what's going to happen if this climate continues and the way it's going to your grandchildren and your grandchildren's grandchildren and so on and so forth in this country. Moderate rule is the only way you can govern and include all citizens. The fringe right has taken over. If you need any example of the political climate that I talk about, if you need any example on why I talk about these things, let's just take, for example, what happened a week ago, a week and a half ago. The outpouring of reaction because of someone's death towards a people who had nothing to do with it, that they call it political violence, but at the same time want to attack those, as I mentioned, who he had opinions about, that choose to have an opinion about him. And if you don't think we need to be aware of the way these things are going, Jimmy Kimmel being fired, taken off air. These are not things we should be taking lightly at all. Because if you know history and you look back, think about when they took Arsenio Hall off the air. Why did they take Arsenio Hall off the air? Do people remember? Because they had one guest. One guest. Do y'all remember who that was? Louis Farrakhan. And the show was taken off the air maybe 2-3 shows after that, because he had Louis Farrakhan sit on his couch on his show. So this is not something that just happens. This is something that has always been there. The difference is they're doing it to their own. They're doing it to their own. Farrakhan, exactly. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Let me not just call him Farrakhan. Not going against you, Hunter, because I know you typing, but I'm saying it. So the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So yeah, when we talk about the politics of things, trust me, I'm going to continue to talk about them from the rooftop. Because we don't shy away from those things here. But we're about an hour in, but I want to touch on this real quick. Because as I told you, I wasn't going to leave her out. I want to thank the one on the wall behind me, Miss Pamela. Never complains when I stay up to get my stuff together for the show. Never complains when I do this, when I'm up early on the mornings, getting my show together and trying to finish things up. Never complains, never once, always supportive. Always telling people about my show. Getting people to tune in. Get you a helpmate that supports you in everything you do and will always tell you when you're wrong. Don't leave that part out. Get you a helpmate that will support you in everything you do. Because there's too many times where we're trying to follow our purpose. And the roadblock for you getting to that destination could be in your own house. I'm just going to put it out there. Could be in your own house. And I'm not just talking about a wife. I'm not talking about children, just children. Could be in your own house. I'm talking about the people you invite in and so on and so forth. Because what we have to understand is this. And I'll say it for myself and you guys can chime in. At 59, due to be 60, as time has gone on, I understand the importance of a healthy relationship. When I was younger, did I understand it? I thought I did, but no. A healthy relationship. Peace in your home can allow you more things than you can ever imagine for you to be able to accomplish. So when I talk about Miss Pamela, let me just tell you, I don't have to worry about anything as far as me being taken for granted, her being taken for granted, or in any of the sorts. And I'm not here just, I know this is the end of the show, and I'm not here to try to put her on a pedestal because, we all have our faults or whatever. But when it comes to supporting this, And this, 100%, all in. All in. And that's all I can ask for. Get you a helpmate. Get you a helpmate. And not just to have a helpmate. Get you a helpmate that has your best interest at hand. That's what I'm going to say. Edward Allen, my brother, big brother. Man, I'm going to come back to you. John Chaney, and we blindly spend our money. The bus protests and Target should be a great example of our spending power. Yeah, we couldn't even get Gucci right. We can't get the NFL right. We got to get right. We got to get right. Trent Brand, support with honesty. Exactly. John Chaney, the queen. Yeah, no, let's take that off. I don't want to hear the swell up. The queen. The queen. But Edward Allen, big brother, I want to give you a shout out, man. You have supported me from the first day we ever met back in 1985. And I want to say thank you to you and your wife, Veronique. I want to say thank you to both of y'all. You listen to the show, but not only listening to the show, but giving me feedback, sending me messages of encouragement, telling me whether I was on fire or if something was wrong. Those are the type of friends you need in your life. And I appreciate you for being in my life, you and Veronique. Because if I call you at any time and we can just chop it up, if I call you and we've got something we need to discuss, we can discuss it. If you got something on your mind that's pissing you off, that's in the news and you want to know, we can discuss it. We may not always agree, which I love. We may not always agree, but it doesn't minimize the love we have for each other just because we don't see eye to eye on a situation. And I appreciate that. But I want to say that because there's certain people, and it's not to eliminate anybody, not to take anybody out. I mean, I appreciate all y'all to tune in. But there's just certain people that have been on this journey with me way before I got on the microphone that I appreciate because they know who I used to be. They know who I am now. And they encourage me to become the best version of me. That's all I can ask for. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up today. 13 years, baby. 13 years in the game. Everybody can't say that. Let me get on my soapbox for a minute. Everybody can't say they've been in this game for 13 years and they're still going. I've seen podcasts start 1 week, be gone the next. I've seen podcasts start, be 3 months in, and then you see people splitting up and breaking up. And they taking their money and going somewhere else because they don't see eye to eye about the direction or the money's involved. And I'm going to bring this up. OT don't pay me, y'all. OT ain't never gave me a dime for doing this show, and I don't expect it. I give him a hard time, but me and OT have been ride or die from the first time he asked me about doing this, and I accepted to do it, and I appreciate him for that. And there's just certain people that you have to accept and understand that in your journey, you're going to meet people who can pour into you and those that are going to drain the shit out of you. You need to know that. And you need to choose accordingly about that. You need to make sure you know there's going to be those that pour into you and those that drain the shit out of you. Sorry, I cussed again, but I got to put it that way. They're going to drain you. Let them people go. Let them go and stop trying to change who they are. Once they show you who they are, let them go. Stop. That's your mind, body, and soul today. When somebody shows you who they are, believe them and let them go. Stop trying to change them. Stop giving them the benefit of the doubt. Cut them loose. Because you're not going to help them. You're just going to hurt yourself. Stop holding on to people who don't need to be held on to. I'm going to leave it with that. Appreciate y'all. Terry Perkins, Big Perk. Appreciate you, my brother. Thanks for always tuning in, man. Trent Brand, she come a long way, brother. Boy, I tried to find the first show. Yeah, we're not going to do that. Raymond Hunter, awesome job, bro. Appreciate it. Melvin Jackson, happy 13 years, sir. Melvin Jackson, you still calling me, sir. I appreciate that, bro. Appreciate that. But last week, when I signed off, I forgot to say this. And it bothered me all week long. It bothered me all week long simply because I wasn't disheveled because of the troll. It was just the context of what we were talking about last week had me in a mindset that I forgot to say what I normally say when I sign off. But I'm going to make sure I say it today. And I would hope that all you that have been listening for a long period of time or even first time, that you join in and say it with me, because this is how I want to leave everybody each and every day. And you need to remember this each and every day that you wake up and before you lay down. Love yourself. Love one another. Keep your head up. Keep your head up and trust in God. Keep your trust in God. He'll never leave you nor forsake you. I appreciate y'all. I'll be back again next week. 13 years in the game, baby. 13 years. Oh, man. It's a party today. It's going to be a party. I'm out. I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. And I'll see y'all next week. Peace.